Tshwane Mayor, Dr. Nasiphi Moya, says 1.4 billion rand has been allocated to upgrades of water and electricity infrastructure. The Tshwane Municipality Council passes budget for the 2025-26 financial year this week. It's the first annual budget passed by the ANC-led multiparty coalition since it was formed last year. Joining us is Bafuze Yabo, Tshwane ANC spokesperson. Bafuze, I appreciate your time this afternoon. Now, how proud are you of this budget, and what specific ANC priorities made it into this coalition budget?
Good afternoon, Hugo. Good afternoon to your viewers. We are very proud of this budget. We must say we are quite elated. This is the first fully funded budget of the city after a couple of years with the city having unfunded budgets passed by the municipal council. And the priorities that would have made it for us are those that reflect on service delivery, delivery of roads, delivery of water infrastructure, delivery of sanitation infrastructure, delivery of electricity infrastructure, which is needed in various parts of the city. And unlike our predecessors, we have focused on those areas that would have been excluded in the previous years after the ANC lost government in 2016. And so we are very elated that now we get to focus on areas that would have been left behind by the previous administration and to catch up on lost time in relation to the services that they would have lost out on during that period.
But this is obviously a critical time because the local government elections are on the horizon, few months away. Now, what elements of this budget will speak to this budget being a budget for the people?
This budget, like I said, Hugo, in my opening remarks, focus is predominantly in areas that you would call townships. And this tries to bring in the level of service that the townships would have yearned for a number of years now, and that they would not have received. And so you would have seen that there would have been an outcry about water shortages. There would have been an outcry about sewage spillages all over, blocking pipes. There would have been an outcry about poor, not maintained electrical infrastructure. A lot of these things have found space and room in the budget that has been passed now, which is fully funded, which will mean we'll be able to meet the city will be able to meet its obligations for the full year. Treasury would have agreed with the city, and so it looks like the political coalition that is led by the African National Congress is doing quite well on that front, and services will now finally get to reach people who would have not had them for years.
Well, that paves way for my next question. Is this budget a true consensus, or is it a political compromise?
It's a balancing act. When you are in coalitions, of course, it's a balancing act, and you have to make concessions on many fronts. But I would like to announce proudly that we found consensus as the various political parties and formations in the coalition government. And this represents the views of all of us in that coalition government. And of course, as the leading party in the coalition, we would have had to say our priorities are the people who would have been previously marginalized, those who would have received services. And that's why the capital budget for this financial year is sitting at 2.4 billion rand. We're trying to make sure that all these issues that have not been addressed are addressed by the creation of new infrastructure. So the capital budget, to be clear, is money that is set aside to deliver new infrastructure that was not there, to be added to the asset register of the city in areas where they would not have had that infrastructure.
Now, why introduce a new levy while cutting the waste budget?
Like I'm saying, finances are a balancing act, Hugo. You have to appreciate that you must have fiscal discipline. You must also remember that we are also undergoing austerity measures that have been imposed by the Minister of Finance and over the last 2-3 years. And there has to be a balance to try and deliver services that are of importance immediately. And so you have to measure, do I Do I increase the budget to fetch waste? Do I increase the budget to rather build new infrastructure to deal with the sanitation that is much more dangerous because you have sanitation runs on the streets. So it's a tricky balance that you have to make, and you have to prioritize on what is available, what is that you're able to do in that period, while maintaining fiscal discipline, while being able to deliver those services. And so it's not an easy thing. So we tried to, I suppose the government of the day tried to look at the various options, and they chose the best option available at the time.
Now, final thoughts on you've raised the indigent threshold, but ignore squeezed middle-income homes. Was this another balancing act?
It was a balancing act. If I may say this, so indigents have been at the receiving end of being the forgotten people of the city over the past few years, and the indigents register has not been well maintained because there was no real focus on indigents and being accommodated into the whole makeup of the city and its ability to service its people. So the indigents have received a greater attention in this one. It's a pro-poor budget, as we call it, and you see it reflected in how we have tried to deal with indigents. Those who are the poor of the poorest, who do not have an income, who live below the breadline. And so the intention to bring them along has been reflected in this budget. A balancing act, again, middle-income homes. I think there are other things that would speak to them in the budget, but we try to see if we can't incorporate everyone. And unlike the previous administration, Hugo, I might add, we have tried to focus not only on historically disadvantaged areas, but also affluent areas, because it is in those areas where even the development that goes on there speaks to the economic development of the city. So we tried to do a whole balancing act because we are, as an organization, a leader of society.
Bafuze Yabo, Tshwane ANC spokesperson, speaking to us about the Tshwane Municipality Council, which passes budget for the 2025-26 season. And he does say that it is indeed a balancing act. Appreciate your time this afternoon.